subscribe. I'll do this every day probably until the holidays. We'll take a little break and then come back. And by the holidays, I mean Christmas. Okay, here we go. So I have nothing really planned today. I just wanted to do a little ramble, little low effort video today because I have been not feeling well. So maybe I'll give you a little life story over the past year about me, and then just talk about some things I've been doing. Like I have my book that I just finished that we can talk about. So, if you don't know, first of all, I need something to do with my hands, and this sounds good. If you don't know, I am a dual U.S. Canadian citizen. And sorry, I'm going to be all over the place, but I'm realizing this hat, this black is the number 87. It's a Taylor Swift reference. I just didn't want that to be bothering you. If you don't know what it means, don't worry about it. But it's supposed to be there. I made this hat, which is also why it's a little bit like, it doesn't fit exactly perfect on the top. So, I'm a dual U.S. Canadian citizen, and I have an engineering degree, a mechanical engineering degree from a school in Indiana, and I have an MBA from a school in Houston, Texas. Most of my life, I lived in Houston, Texas. I grew up in a suburb, and then as an adult, I lived downtown because I like being a city girl, a city girl. I'm basically giving you the story that I give a lot of the people I see at the winery I work at, because everyone's so confused why I'm here and I'm from Texas. But let me continue explaining because you don't know what I'm talking about. So, most of my life I'm living in Texas. I'm working for a chemical company. First company I worked for right out of college was the same type of chemical company, but a competitor of the latest one that I worked at. I did not have fun at that company. Honestly, I was working in Alabama for a lot of it, and they just do not treat women well. And not even just at the work, like in social situations. Living in Alabama was just not for me. I'm too liberal. I'm too much of a feminist. It was hard to find friends who weren't uber religious and like very into just supporting their husbands, which is kind of sad to say, but it is what it is. And like, if that makes them happy, go for it, girls, go for it. So, yes, I did live in Alabama for a little bit too, but again, I moved to Texas, back to Texas right after. I lived in Alabama for a couple of years, and I worked at a plant. Where they make the chemicals, and I just was not having fun. I'm not super technical. I don't think I'm meant to be an engineer. That is not on that company, but that company was also like not the best culture fit for me. So I left that job. And went to, first of all, I bartended for like a week. And I thought I was just going to do that until I figured out what I want to do. And then someone from a competitor of that company contacted me for a job that was more businessy, less engineering, more business. It was a 24/7 on the phone job where you basically manage the operations of a pipeline, a huge pipeline. It was very stressful, but it was better than the engineering plant jobs I had. So I was moving in the right direction. during the pandemic, there was also, I think it was 2021, there was a terrible winter storm that happened. I should be giving you timelines here. So, I graduated college in 2015. So, 2015 to 2019, I was with the first company that I talked about that I didn't really like. 2019, I started working at the new company. So yeah, 2021, winter storm hits. I kid you not, for an entire week, I maybe slept 2 hours a night because I was getting so many calls. And not a lot of people in the company knew how to do what I was doing. And I was, if you don't know about the 2021 winter storm that hit Texas, no one had power for an entire week. And I was in charge of like our power distribution. It was just an absolute nightmare. Thankfully, I was working with really good people. This company was a much better culture fit. No one was yelling and screaming. It was like we were all just doing the best we can. So I did that job for a couple of years where I was on call all the time. And during that job, I started getting my MBA because I was like, I'm done with these operations, like high stress roles. I want to go into like a more salesy type of role where I'm looking at contracts and working in like the big corporate office, that type of thing. So during my MBA, my boss he was my boss when I started at the company, then he moved to a different group. He contacted me and said, hey, we have an opening for this job. We have a few openings for this group actually because a lot was changing. Do you want one of them? You can just have it. You don't even have to interview, which they don't normally do because if you're doing proper like hiring for DEI, like you should be doing full interviews with the general public, like as many candidates as you can, as many diverse candidates, right? But they were so desperate that HR gave them a pass to take me, and then they did the normal hiring process, I think for 2 more people in our group. It was crazy how many people they had to hire at that time. And this was a group where it was just like people who had these jobs for 20 years were retiring. It was a really good group that people wanted to stay in, so I jumped on it. So in that job, I did contract negotiation for like supply contracts, so the chemicals that we were selling, they were like really long-term 10-year contracts. It's called an account manager, what I was doing. So I was doing lawyer stuff basically, and sales, and like whining and dining clients like a salesperson would do, which I loved that part of the job because I like being out and about and talking to people. There were a lot of stressful conversations, honestly, because that's just how like a lot of money was involved. But like the fun parts was like going to dinner, making friends, even though most of them were old men. But who cares? So yeah, I did that job I think for 4 years, 3 or 4 years. And like from 2021 to 2025, yeah, 4 years. And my boss, was an incredible boss, still is an incredible boss at that same company. And if it wasn't for him, I probably would not have stayed, because although it was such a better fit for me, it was still very stressful. And I was starting to realize that I don't want kids. That could change, right? But I'm 32. My husband and I have no interest in having kids. I was working very long hours, like at least 10 hours a day. A lot of times also on the weekend, depending on if there was a deadline for something. And I was also just like an overachiever, so I wanted to be very prepared for presentations to customers and stuff like that. And although this job was so much better for me, and honestly, if I wanted kids and like needed a big house, I would have continued to just grow in the company and make more and more money. But I decided my life was going by too fast, and I wasn't enjoying it. I was working too much, and the only reward I was getting for more working was a little bit more money every year. But it was also more responsibility. And I didn't know, when I saw my boss and his boss, like the vice president, the president, they looked exhausted and they worked all the time, and that was just not something I can do and wanted to do. I could have done it, but I want to experience life to the fullest. I don't want to die and just be working. Just think about all the years that I just worked and like for what? For what? If you don't want kids, there's like not something to save a ton of money for. And for a while, I was doing a lot of volunteer work and donating a lot of money to different causes and stuff like that. So I was like, the more money I make, the more I can give away. So I can have a fulfilling life in that way. But it was still just like, if you work a corporate job, you know, you get to the office at like 8 a.m. You wake up at 6:30. Maybe earlier if you're going to go work out. I used to do CrossFit before work, which was crazy. I would get up at like 4. I stopped doing that because I realized I was so tired in the afternoon when I did it. But you get up early, 6:30. You get to the office at usually 8. In this type of job, in like an operations chemical industry type of job, I think in like the tech industry, I don't think they start so early. So like sometime between 7 or 8, you probably have a morning meeting where you're going over everything that happened overnight. So you have to be present for that meeting, or at least on the phone and awake, in case you have to ask a question or someone asks you a question, or like something could have happened to your customer that like you need to know about. So that meant I'd get up at like maybe 6:15. I would be out the door by 7:15. I would be in the car from 7:15 to 7:45 driving. The traffic is really bad in Houston. 7:45 to 8, I'm getting settled in my desk, and first meeting starts at 8. I am in meetings typically all day. And then, so you maybe have like an hour or two here or there to get work done. Shut your door, typing away. Mostly negotiating, like writing contract language and responding to emails. But because you have so many meetings all day, you can't really be done at 5. In most jobs, like the culture says 9 to 5, but it's 8 to 5 at least. So, a lot of times I would be in the office until 6 or 7, and then in the winter it's dark by that time. So you are spending your entire day just at this one office. This is no surprise to any of you, I'm sure. And then 6 or 7, I'm on my way home. And then every night, because I felt like my life was passing me by and I wasn't enjoying it. Pretty much when I turned like 30, I started every night going out and doing something fun to try and make up for it. But like you only have a couple hours in the evening, so you're just living for the hours in the evening. Because think about it, if I'm getting off at 5, traffic's gonna take like an hour to get home, even though it should take 20 minutes. If I'm getting off at 6:30, it'll be a little bit better, but that means I won't be home by 7. And it wasn't this company's fault. fault necessarily that I was working so much. It was just the workload, and I have to meet deadlines. I'm just that type of person, and if I ever go back to a corporate job, I need to set more boundaries and be willing to not get things done on time and to warn people that it won't be done on time, which I did start getting better at towards the end. So yeah, I decided to take a break is where I'm going with this. I've always wanted to try living in Canada because I'm a dual citizen. My parents are Canadian, but I was born in the States. I have the option to move from Texas to Canada or the US to Canada anytime. So I tried it in Christmas break. No, Thanksgiving. During Thanksgiving break, I told this time last year, I was visiting my in-laws in South Carolina, and I called my boss, bawling my eyes out because, again, I'm obsessed with this boss. He was the only boss I ever had that I loved, and he had done so much for me. I feel like crying just talking about him. He picked me for my first job in the new company, and then he pulled me from that job to another job that he knew I wanted. I felt like I owed him so much, and he was just a really good guy. We were even neighbors, so I knew his kids, his wife, blah blah blah. His wife and I went to a protest together, actually. I actually didn't call him directly. I think I was crying so hard and felt like I couldn't get up the courage to call him. I tried to for an entire day, and then the next day I was like, I'm just gonna send him an email. I sent him an email saying, thank you so much for everything you've done for me. Unfortunately, this is not a joke. I tried to call you all day yesterday and couldn't get myself to, but I'm leaving the company. Please call me when you see this. Which probably gave him a heart attack. He was traveling for Thanksgiving, so I remember he called me at 9 p.m. after getting off the airplane. Which is just so him. He shouldn't be checking his emails at 9 p.m., but I knew he would be. So, obviously I've already said a lot of amazing things about him. He was so nice about it, and I wanted to give them as much time as possible, so I told them, hey, it's Thanksgiving, I'll give you until February. I want to be done at the beginning of February so I can go ski in Canada. That was the dream. And we made that work. Those last 2 months were the weirdest 2 months of my life because everyone knew that I was leaving. Actually, I think for a week or two, only me and my boss and his boss knew I was leaving before he was ready to tell everyone, before they had a plan, because they were making a plan on what to do with my transition. And every time I saw him, I wanted to cry because I felt so bad for doing this to him. And I just kept telling, he's not an emotional guy, so I was trying not to be emotional around him, and I would just tell him, I am so thankful for everything you've done for me. This has nothing to do with you. It really doesn't. I just want to be in Canada. I want to ski. I want a break from corporate, and I wanted a break from the US. Because also a lot had been going on in the US, still is, and it was just stressful for me, especially living in Texas as a woman. A liberal woman. So, and he totally understood that. He's a feminist guy. So, yeah, those 2 months were incredibly odd. Everyone coming to talk to me about leaving. So many people, I forgot about this until I'm telling you this now. So many people came to my office and told me, you're doing something that I had always wanted to do. You're doing something that I have always wanted to do. Congrats, basically. You're living our dream, which is so sad. So everyone in corporate except a few people really don't want to be there. Even your office and that type of job than you do at home. If you don't count sleeping, I guess, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. So yeah, it was very sad. They did a little party, a lunch party for me with a cake, which is so nice to do when someone quits, but I wasn't going to a competitor or anything, so they had no reason to hate me. And if I ever go back to a corporate job, I'd probably go back to that company, just maybe a better city maybe in Canada, because it's a big company. Do you hear my dog clacking? He's clacking around. He wants to go for a walk. Sorry, I had to cut there for a second because my dog was barking because my husband was home. And you're going to hear banging around in the kitchen for a second. We're very casual today. Let me tap on this a little bit while I finish my life story. This is really my adult life story. You know what? I have a lot to tell you about my childhood too. A lot of trauma, if you want to hear that. I went to a very religious school, which was not good. So anyways, like I was saying, if I wanted to go back to corporate, I would probably try to go work for them unless there was somewhere I really wanted to live that they don't have offices in. So, February of this year, I drove from Texas to Canada. It took 5 days. I sold everything that I own in Texas, almost everything. I wanted some time off first, so what we did was stay with my aunt and uncle in a town that is close to a couple ski hills, and we skied for a few months. And then I was like, okay, what do I do next? So I got a job at a winery just for fun, at 2 wineries, and had the best summer ever. It felt like adult summer camp, honestly. Serving wine, we had staff parties all the time. Getting to meet a lot of people, employees and customers. Everyone here is so nice. What they say about Canada is correct. It is the nicest place in the world. So yeah, I had the best summer ever, and then in early October, I was going to a concert with my girlfriend. It's my cousin. With my cousin in Seattle, and the night before in the hotel room, I had very bad chest pain and kept having the feeling like I was going to faint, which I have POTS, a condition that makes your blood pressure all wonky. It's like a neuro thing. So that wasn't so weird, but it was. So I fainted before I know what it feels like. I made sure I didn't faint, but I still all night felt this way, and with chest pain I didn't sleep. It was awful. So something was wrong. It was worse than it normally was. We skipped the concert the next day, and I drove back to Canada because I wasn't willing to pay for U.S. healthcare, which we won't get into, but you know the issue with U.S. healthcare if you know anything about the U.S. So I drove back to Canada so I could go to the ER and they could check my heart and make sure nothing was wrong because my chest was hurting. All of that was fine. So I went home. Then comes the next week where I still wasn't sleeping, was having terrible chest pain. That eventually calms down. But still, for the next 2 months, so until today, until now, and continuing right now, I have felt so dizzy and like I'm going to faint many times a day, every day. It is hard for me to go to work. I was still doing a couple shifts at the winery every week. It slows down a lot in the winter and in the fall, but I think my husband is leaving again. I did say hi to him. So I haven't been doing much much, and it just sucks because this is not why I took off this time. This is not what this year was supposed to be. I went through the healthcare system. Here I have a doctor. I somehow found one, like a family doctor, because my aunt and uncle have one in this office. So I got very lucky because usually it takes a long time to find a family doctor in Canada. I saw him for like a month, and then I was just getting so frustrated that I went to a private doctor, and now I'm paying them to, like, I got a ton of blood work done yesterday, and I have a full body MRI next week, so even if this is something that I have to deal with for the rest of my life, I would like to be in a place where I can at least function with it, and right now I can't. Like, just last week I went to knit club and I felt so bad, like I was seeing stars that I left. Because if I get excited at all, even in a good way, like I was just talking to them, like that's barely excitement, then I start feeling like I need to faint. I was just excited to see them. Yes, I'm in a knit club, it's so fun. So yeah, that's where we are now. It's almost ski season. We have an apartment in Canada now, and for the first time, I'm gonna be able to have a season's pass to a ski hill, like the first time in my life. Skiing is my favorite activity. Of all activities, I'm obsessed, so I cannot wait for that. And I'm just hoping that this new doctor finds something that can help me so that I can get back out, either to the winery, or there is a new job, like a new full-time job that I could also start in January here that I was interested in, but like I've been so wishy-washy with them because I don't know what's going on. So like that might pan out in January, or I can just spend the winter skiing. I was able to take this time off this year from working a corporate job because I saved money for 10 years, right? Again, I don't have kids. In fact, my last house I lived in, I had roommates. Yes, I had roommates even though I was married because I love living around people. I love it. And it was so much fun. It was probably one of the best living situations I've ever been in. Like, you have to find good roommates, obviously, but it was 2 girls and they were amazing. So, yeah, I saved a lot of money, is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And I'm going to make this last as long as possible if I can. I don't want to go back to the chemicals industry, oil and gas, anything like that. I don't want to have to be an engineer. My husband is also an engineer and he works remote. So he can work from Canada, even for a US company. But his job is all over the place because it's contract work, so you just make money whenever it's available, and then whenever there's a job available to do, like design of compressors, you probably don't know what I'm saying unless you work in like oil and gas, but if there's no work available, then he just doesn't make any money, so it's not super sustainable. He applied for permanent residence in Canada, and hopefully he will get it sometime in the next year and can get a job here. So yeah, I'm just kind of in limbo right now, which is why I'm posting every day, but I want to. This has been a dream of mine to grow a YouTube channel and actually try, so I wanted to actually try while I have time. So that's why I'm posting every day right now. Maybe I'll be posting every day forever, but let's just keep it going. And thank you for listening to my ramble. My life ramble. I told you I was going to talk about the book that I'm reading, and I'm realizing now it's been almost 30 minutes, but we can still do a quick recap of the book. It's loud. Oh, did it? rainbow section. It's cute. Because it sounded interesting and I had nothing on hold that was available, so I needed a new book. I just finished it like a day or two ago. It is about, how can I should have written a synopsis for you and I don't want to read this whole thing. Okay, so there's this girl. She's obsessed with this guy. Classic. They live in San Francisco. That doesn't really matter. Except they work in tech. So, yeah, this girl is obsessed with this guy. That's how the book starts. Guy's not into her. They've been best friends for a long time, since college. And they're in their 30s now. Guy becomes single. Girl is excited. Guy decides to go on dates. You learn throughout the book he's just not a good guy. Goes on dates, sleeps with a lot of people. One of these people that he's dating is someone named Anaya. And the main character that we were talking about is Eddie. So Eddie is obsessed with Peter. Eddie meets Anaya. Even though they're just on like their first or second date. She becomes obsessed with her. Anaya writes books. She reads all of the books. It seems a little creepy, honestly. It makes the book a little bit more interesting because the whole time you're like, is something actually wrong with her? Or is this just some type of like, she just loves these books? And Anaya dies, and I don't think I'm spoiling that because it's in the synopsis. I'm pretty sure when I first read about it. Yeah. Anaya is found dead in her apartment right after a date with Peter. So you follow Eddie in her obsession to figure out if Eddie had a part in Anaya's death. Sorry, if Peter had a part in Anaya's death. And you know, it's like any mystery book. They're just giving you clues as you go along, but then Eddie finds out that she has feelings for the same sex. She meets Anaya's. I don't want to spoil it anymore. If this sounds interesting, you should pick it up because I did enjoy it. I think I gave it 4 stars. It has pretty terrible reviews on Goodreads, like only 3 out of 5 stars, but I liked how it was nice and short. It's been a while since I've read a little short book like this, and it kept me hooked the whole time, and I thought the whole time I was trying to figure out whether Eddie was actually psychotic. Because she was obsessive with Peter and with now Anaya. But I still don't know how I feel about it. You know, it kept me thinking the whole time and wondering what was going to happen, and the end was pretty good. Like, there was some character growth, so. And also, we love, like, a sapphic romance, right? That she ends up finding herself and, figuring out that she's queer. So, yeah, it was good. It was good. I don't think it's, like, a super popular book, or it wouldn't have been available at the library, so, yeah, I would recommend it. I'll show it to you again. Nothing Serious by Emily Smith. Because I haven't been working or doing anything, I've been reading and watching a lot of movies, so you'll see more books from me. Okay. I need to go take my puppy dog on a walk now. He's been waiting for me. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm surprised if you made it this far. If you made it this far, I wish you could tell me